Yeah, I've always had good luck with PG&E. Usually just for, panel upgrades and things like that, but they've always been super helpful.
Yeah,
What?
their website's horrible.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely horrible. I had to they canceled it and then I had to resubmit it and I still got to resubmit for another one. It's just time.
Yeah. I wonder if it's different because of the area that you're in. Maybe we're a little bit smaller, but I've always just done things on the phone. And once I
Yeah, you can't anymore. Not for a panel change out.
okay.
All got to be done online.
All right. It's been a
Yeah, I
while.
used to do this. I used to do the same thing. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, it's been a while since we've done one.
Yeah, it's like a 20-page thing document. You have to upload files, you have to upload permit, you have to upload pictures.
Wow.
Yeah. And the biggest problem is their scheduling is telling me October to say for a panel change out?
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm like, no. I'll
No,
change it
yeah,
myself at that point.
we're we're never that far out.
Yeah, I really don't want to do it hot, but I'm not waiting till October either.
Right. No, that's a long, long wait. I don't think we've ever gone, well, like I said, it's been a while since I've done one, but couple couple weeks max.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my panel's already up. The whips are taken are out and it's been inspected. So it's like they'll be in and out in a half an hour.
Oh, they just have to come and connect.
They just have to go and connect.
Oh, wow. Okay, I thought you were starting the process for the install and inspection and everything.
No, no, no. It's already been inspected. It's
Oh,
like, come
goodness.
out, change my power over. That way I can finish my drywall, get this one rented.
Yeah, nice. That'd be nice. Um, so last week we started with some folks sharing issues or learning lessons that they had. I was wondering this week if there's anybody that, because this call in the beginning got called an accountability meeting, and we've always been kind of light on the accountability side. I think we've met people who belong to serious accountability groups, right? And I don't know that the accountability in their group seemed to stress them out. So I never want to get to that point, but I just wanted to ask anybody if they're needing help with motivation, getting anything done. And just a quick thought about what I'm doing recently. I told you guys that I was reaching out, and we're in several markets. We have 5 different PMs, but I'm reaching out to all of them to find out the process once a renter starts getting late with their rent and what it is from there all the way through the eviction process. And because I was guilty of that before too, where just procrastinating and thinking it was going to fix itself, but it doesn't typically fix itself. So I've gotten in touch with and gotten calls with 2 of them so far, and the process is different from state to state. So I got a hold of the ones in Gary, Indiana, because we're having to evict a tenant there. And I got a hold of our guy in St. Louis that has 3 of our properties. And the main reason I wanted to get in touch with them about that is because it seems like if they miss a step, and Brett shared with us last week, because Brett in Milwaukee is self-managing and he does his own, um, he's doing the eviction himself, and he missed a deadline. So he had to start the whole thing over again. So that's what I'm hoping, that we can maybe save some people some time, whether it's evictions or whatever. Just Chester shared last week and the week before, I think, that he he thought the PM had too much power making decisions. And Chester, you can correct me if I got this wrong, but um, the the PM was like making arrangements or deals with the tenant and extending, letting the tenant pay late, or the tenant agreed to pay everything by the 30th or whatever it was. And I think we um, Well, I don't want to do that with my PMs. I'm telling my PMs if, like the one in Gary, they give them a 30-day notice. And I had to call today with the guy. So he says they give them a 30-day notice. At the end of the 30-day notice, they start the eviction process. With other PMs, they have, say, gotten a call from the tenant, say, I'll pay it all by the first. And right now, maybe I'm a little jaded, but I don't want to accept that agreement. I want to go through with the eviction. And one thing that Matt tells us all the time is that one thing he doesn't want to do is pass on a bad tenant to someone else. So if you say take cash for keys, Flavio, or do something like there, I was speaking with a new PM that we're going to be going to in Gary, and he was saying that um, sometimes you can agree if the tenant pays up and owes you everything that they're behind, and then they will move out with no issues. Will you accept that? And right now, I wouldn't because of what Matt has shared with us, right? I don't want to pass that problem on to another landlord either. So it might, and you guys can tell me what you think if it sounds heartless or whatever, but um, yeah, I did, Chester. I got a hold of Angelo, and he's the one we'll be switching to in Gary. I really like Cynthia, loved him too. We had an hour long call with him on Saturday, and I was very impressed. And one thing we've also talked about before is that when you're looking for a new property management company, you usually talk to their salesperson, not the person that's going to be managing your property. And that seems like where everything kind of goes haywire as far as property management goes. Um, and I guess you could think like maybe I'm causing a bunch of issues myself because we're in several markets and things like that. But that's how we got in. That's what we know. So that's what we're trying to learn how to make it work the best we can. So yeah,
Mm,
Chester, he invited us to join that um, WhatsApp group. Yeah.
okay, good, good. Yeah. Were you finished? I was gonna.
Yeah, go ahead. I was just spitting out some ideas of stuff we're going through, but I think one of the focuses tonight would be to see if we can help anybody just by talking through what their next steps might be on any issues that they have, and just give them encouragement to move forward. And if they, I mean, some people will say just by saying it this week, there's a little bit of pressure on you to get it done by next week. So that
Yeah.
that might be.
Have you talked to Angelo about the process or how to proceed with those evictions in Gary?
Yeah, a couple of things he mentioned were, and I was kind of surprised because so you guys have heard me talk about the gun lady, right? I didn't want to pass the gun lady on to a new property manager, even though I was going to switch property management companies. But the property manager that we interviewed was like, it doesn't matter to us what stage of the process you're in. We'll take it over from there and make sure it gets done right. And they have so far. I have to check with her tomorrow because I think they finally might have gotten her out yesterday. So go ahead, Chester. Were you going to say something?
Oh, yeah. So I got in touch with um Al, who has been working with Ali, and so I I don't know how recently, but the group or the company Strategy Properties that sold me the turnkey property, and then of course did the handoff, for lack of a better phrase, of PM responsibility from Strategy Properties to Real Property Management. I had a call with their PM today, their being Strategy Properties, because they recently, I don't know how recent, maybe within the, let's say within the last 2 or 3 months, had started up their own in-house property management. So they have heard multiple reports, let's just call it reports, that RPM has not been the ideal property management company for all of the investors, especially the ones who went on that group trip
Mhm.
with Allie up to Detroit. So it sounds as though this had been in the works. I can definitely say this has been in the works because starting a PM shop, if you will, that does not simply happen overnight. That's
Mhm.
not just, hey, it's Tuesday or Wednesday. I think I'm gonna go start up a property management. Like, yeah, no. So I think this has been in the works for a while. I simply think they could not um, broadcast it because the volume of properties that they have already been selling, it would simply just naturally make sense to keep everything in-house, go straight from acquisition through disposition, transfer over to the management side of the house, just one clean, smooth, just hand along process. So all of this to say, I met with uh, the Strategy Properties PM. Her name is April, and told her, hey, here are the things that I've been experiencing. And she, frankly, was horrified. And I was like, okay, I'm glad I'm not going insane here. Um, oh, somebody might be off of mute. I don't know. Kind of get a little bit of feedback. The recommendations that she had were first and foremost, again, as with everything, procedural wise, dot your I's, cross your T's, meaning check your PM agreement. What things did you agree to? Like, don't just like, hey, I signed off. Like, definitely. And I'm not saying this to say, like, for anybody here, but just as a general principle, because this is how April had relayed or provided this recommendation to me. It was, definitely review the agreement, see what things that they are supposed to be held responsible for, and then what things I, as the owner, am responsible to them for. And basically, from there, excuse me, the next big thing, if you will, was truth be told, they, meaning RPM as a property management company, if I were to rate them out of 10, some things are kind of out of their control in terms of like the amount of turnover that they've had in terms of PMs. But even notwithstanding the amount of turnover, which it's been less than a year, and I have been assigned three different property managers. Um, that tells me, again, just from working a corporate day job, when you see that much turnover in one position, something's wrong. And it's not, unless I am the owner or the manager or the boss of that particular division, it's not my job to try to figure it out. My job is recognize the signs, make or take appropriate action. So I've already gotten the not onboarding or the welcome kit, but all of the appropriate information, including all of Strategy Properties fees, the um, FAQs. So basically, all of the information necessary to make an informed decision, um, which ironically, a lot of their fees, Strategy Property fees, are lower than real property management fees. So it's just all around strengthening my decision from basically every possible aspect and angle, to say, from the way that not necessarily treated horribly, but just not the type of relationship that an owner should have with a property management company. Um, and like I said, I suspect that there's just more going on behind the scenes that they can than they would be able to let on. So I'm gonna wrap everything up by saying this. It may not be immediate, but definitely within the time frame or the window before the termination fee kicks in, I'm going to transition property managers. So effectively firing them. Um, but uh, yeah, so a little bit frustrated but relieved at the um, steps that this is taking. So
That
feel a
sounds
lot
great.
better. Yeah, feel
Yeah,
a lot better than last week.
that sounds great. So we've also talked before about firing a PM, right? And trying to stay as professional as possible, even though you don't really feel like being professional towards them,
Mm-hmm.
at least to help make the transition to the new people as smooth as possible. So what out of what you just said, what will be your next step?
Biggest things, first and foremost, from April's recommendation, check the timing of the termination fee. This is something I believe it is within the first year or within, as long as there's not, it's like two parts. Like I said, I have to go back and like thoroughly read through it, but you got to give them 30 days notice. And then if you give them the 30 days notice, you also have to, um, and this is the part where the fee applies. So this isn't like anything, it's more procedural wise. So I'd have to go back and look at the actual verbiage for it. But within a certain time frame, the fee won't apply, but it's af if but w if it's after that certain time frame, it will. So, like I said, just have to go back and actually re reread and review the agreement, and then so that's immediate. Second probably would be, because of the tenant, especially like how you had mentioned about we'll affectionately call her quote unquote the gun lady.
Mhm.
The tenants that are in the property, like it's a mother and one, two, three, yeah, four bedrooms, so a mother and three sons, I believe. Um, so because she has been having difficulty paying, and again, it's only been the last couple of months, so whatever agreement that RPM has made with her to allow her to catch up, like you mentioned earlier, it's one thing if the PM comes to the owner and says, "Hey, this is your property. We're managing it on your behalf. The tenant doesn't have the full rent for this month. What would you like to do?" I would have been over the moon appreciative if they had so much as asked that. And because they did not, also because they did not let me know, hey, this is the tenant that we want to move forward with. What are your thoughts? It's more just like, hey, we've already placed a tenant. And even though I was quite explicit in saying I want input into the tenant that that's going to go in the property, basically. So I would not necessarily call this deception, but I would definitely say, from an expectation standpoint, like Matt says, teach people how to treat you. So if they do not, what's a good way of putting it? If they're not doing what you want them to do, or if they're not operating how you expect, the onus then as an owner is on you. Like Matt says, hey, here's X, Y, and Z. I'm not seeing this happening. What do we need to do? Like, make it very, very clear that whatever they are doing is not meeting your expectations, and that they will not necessarily so much immediately suffer some sort of punishment, but they would have to face some sort of consequence if they do not. And generally, that's usually, hey, this agreement isn't working out because whatever the case may be. So, um, yeah, that's really where it's going to end up having to go, unfortunately. So, I think as far as with, yeah, because it's really going to be three things. The second being, um, giving the notice itself. That I think is going to be more procedural. I don't have as like I have heard horror stories. I will put it like this, Frank. I've heard horror stories about um how some relationships between PM and owner have been acrimonious. So that's not really the case here. It just seems more like um bluntly speaking, they seem a little disorganized, and it's frustrating more than it is like, I'd say maybe more irritating, maybe not to the level of quite frustration. Like, I am definitely disappointed in some things, but yeah, definitely irritated. So that's number two, is actually giving them notice. Number three, this one's a real dilemma, and I may need to kind of get everybody's um sort of consensus on this. Since I did not have input or say into the tenant, after giving them notice, what do you think would be reasonable? Or would that be the new PM's responsibility to say, hey, we need to vet, or not vet, but uh, we need to explain to the tenant that, hey, there's a new PM. Here are the expectations. Whatever agreements or deals you had with the prior PM, those no longer are valid, or whatever the case may be. And, moving forward, here's how things are going to operate. So basically, three steps. Like I said, don't really know how to handle that third one, but Troy, I see you got your hand up, so I'm guessing you've got a little bit of insight.
Hey, Troy, go ahead.
To first things first. I mean, I caught the not the very first part of it. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I would say, make sure you're looking through your contract with your PM, when it comes to tenant placement. I mean, if it states that they have sole discretion to place the tenant, and you're not the final say in terms of tenant placement, that might be their understanding of how they are to operate. Is they're supposed to be pick the best qualified candidate that they see fit for your unit, and they're going to move forward with it under the impression that they are hired to do a job for you. If you're wanting to have final say in the tenant placement, that could be, I think it really depends on their level of comfort in doing so, because you got to put yourself in their perspective. If you're going through the process of collecting all the information, going through all the tenants that they have, showed the apartment to or the house to, and then they are doing all the background check, they're doing all the, they're looking into all the credit history and everything else, and they're saying, well, this person is the best candidate of the pool of candidates that we have. And then they, if you were to have the final say, they send all that information to you, and then you pull the plug from them. They just wasted. They didn't really waste. They spent a lot of time and resources into properly placing that tenant, and it does reflect on their ability to do their job in terms of the vacancy rates and so forth. Not to say that what your concerns are not valid. It's just that, how aware are you of all the information that they are processing, and what are your criterias are of, you got to have a really good understanding between you and the property manager. And sometimes the property management, they have assistant property managers and leasing agents that they have that work underneath them, and they're doing a lot of the little tasks, and then they're the ones that basically look at the final candidates basically for approval sometimes, or they may not at all. So you got to remember, like, how much involvement are you going to be in their level of work, and is that within realm of being feasible for them and for you? It's like having children. There's a fine line of how much independence you give them, how much oversight you give them, how much freedom do you give them. They got to learn to be able to walk on their own 2 feet. But no different than what you're saying, how Matt says you got to teach people how they treat you. So I would say, look at your contract, make sure that there are, within reason of what their expectations are. And if they're not fulfilling their contract, then yes, definitely move on from them. And then I would definitely have someone on the line before you pull the plug, because then they're managing on your own without no PM, because they could just drop the ball and not give you. They're going to have to provide, the lease agreements and so forth, but they could be a real challenge, and they could make a real headache for you. The last question that you had about, trying to remember, what was the question that you had now after having that?
Yeah, so it was kind of along the lines of the the tenant, I should say, that the PM placed.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's
And
right.
yeah.
I would say, when it comes to tenants, I would just, throw it a documentation into ChatGPT saying, hey, we're under new management, and even the PM, you could talk to your PM and see if that's something, if they have a boiler letterhead that basically goes out to like a transitionary tenant base, because you got to remember, some of these property management companies, depending on the size and scope that they work with, some may take over 30, 40, 50, 100 unit properties, and they go through this process. They may have a process of just like saying, sending out a letter that states, hey, we're the new property management company. These are the systems that we use to collect rent. And these are, the people to contact for maintenance requests, blah, 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 blah. I would say just focus on what the new property management company is going to provide for you in terms of that first. And I really wouldn't be overly concerned about, saying anything about, the old property management company. It's more or less like, I imagine for most property management companies, they would say, hey, just want to introduce ourselves. This is who we are. We're looking forward to working with you and communicating and cooperating with you, and they'll have some type of nice sugar coated message that goes out to them. And that's what I would expect.
Yeah, I think that those are all great points. One thing that I was thinking about, Chester, like you mentioned earlier, if the property manager, if your existing property manager made any agreement with the tenant, it seems like that might be legally binding, right? So you can't just have your new PM come in and say, hey, this is the way it's going to be from here on out. So you might want to be careful of that.
Yeah, but he should be privy to that information.
He should be, but
Yeah.
it's still, he might still have to be bound by it, right? He can't just,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, that's all I was thinking. So let's see.
Anna's got a question. Right at the front, right at the very beginning.
Hi, Anna, can you chat?
Yeah, we can talk about it. If we have a time after the tenants issues, let's just focus on one thing.
Yeah, go
Thank
ahead.
you, though. Yeah.
We were ready to move on, so go ahead with your question.
Oh, are you really? It's okay to change
Yep.
the subject.
Yep.
All right. I have a question. I'm thinking about looking at the flip property. Obviously it was bought like a September 24, and then it's on the market. And so I'm gonna go to see it tomorrow. And is there anything? I never really like flips, because I know the level of flips, how much, honestly, you're gonna whatever. So, but the previous picture from Google Map looks horrible, and now it looks beautiful. So, what do I need to watch for? And I'm sure there are a lot of people who do flips. So, what are the likely places where you would, normally kind of cut corners? You probably don't want to speak up for it, but I'm just kind of something that I need to watch for. So,
Yeah, does anybody else have any input on that question?
Frank, I got input on that.
There you go. Hi, Shane. Good to see you.
You too. I'll be short. I haven't been here in a while. Hi, everybody. No, I was going to say on flips, both as a real estate broker and a general contractor, I've obviously been on all sides of it. In fact, Frank and I have worked on a lot of projects together. Frank and I do not cut corners on anything, but as representing buyers that want to buy flips, I'm always hesitant because nowadays, after all the flip, shows on TV, everybody and their mom thinks they're a flipper. And so you get a lot of amateurs and you get a lot of work done that's not, properly done. You get people trying to, like I've seen ridiculous things, but I think first of all is look at the disclosures, ask a lot of questions, see if you can get copies of contracts or, make sure the people that worked on the property were licensed, see if any of the necessary permits were pulled. Be really cautious with bedroom and bathroom count. Go to county or city records and make sure that like they didn't just say, okay, it's a 5-bedroom now, but really on record it's a 2-bedroom. Another big one too, especially in high cost markets, is additional square footage that was unpermitted. That could be a big problem. They're trying to sell you a house that's 2,300 square feet, but it's got 900 on record, and instead of 3 bedrooms and 3 baths, it's 2-bedroom, 1 bath. So I mean, these are some of the main things. And as always, if anybody ever has any questions, I'm always happy to be a source of knowledge. I mean, I'm in California, but I have a network all over the country, so I can, if you guys ever need, any referrals or have questions, you can always reach out. And Frank's got all my contact.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you pay attention to anything in school, Shane?
Actually, I have severe ADHD. I've learned a lot hands-on and working alongside people like Frank. Like I'm horrible at sitting in class.
No, I mean for contact information.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question? I thought you were teasing me about if I was.
No.
Go ahead.
We're pretty much all that way.
Yeah. Well,
How
that's
do we
funny.
how do we get a hold of you without bothering Frank?
You can, my cell phone is 831-588-2374. That's easy way to text or call anytime. And then I could always, text you back my full contact, email, social media, whatever you like. But yeah, I'm always happy to help out any way that I can.
So I have a follow-up question, and thank you, Shane. So how do I? Oh, so I already looked at the room counts and the bathroom counts with the county record, and it looks like that bathroom is one more than the county record. So they already added one bathroom, and I guess if you find something like that, what would be a good way to approach? I mean, should I just go ahead and go to county and then, hey, can you come over to inspect this? It's not permitted. It doesn't look like it pulled a permit. Ask them first, the double check with the permit, make sure that the records are updated. If it's not, have them come over and then take a look at it and see if it is allowable, or would that be the way to go if for this kind of property?
I mean, if you're following up with me, I mean, I would say that, that does come up. Every jurisdiction is different. And so there's a couple things that come into effect. Like if you're in a market where there's water credits or where water is heavily monitored, then, if you're in one of those jurisdictions, they might not have enough allowable water that you're allowed to even add another bathroom. So you got to be careful.
I see.
I only know a few jurisdictions like that in our area, but I'm not sure what
Yeah.
area you're doing this in. But then the other thing too is that, when you're in the transaction, you can make it a contingency, an inspection contingency, and of course you could
Okay.
go pull all the assessor records as well, because sometimes you'll find that maybe that was a half bath at some point, right? But if it's converted square footage within the actual footprint, then what you can do is you can go talk to the city or the county. I'm not sure what jurisdiction you're in, and you can't get them to come out and look. They're not going to do that. But what you can do is you can ask the question, say, hey, looking at buying a property, there's a
Right.
bathroom in there. The bathroom looks like it was done professionally. If I buy this property, what are the steps and what are the costs for me to add this, to my legal, bathroom count? And
Okay.
and they'll give you the instructions on what to do. If it does meet, other guidelines, like if there's not a water restriction or anything else, if it does meet guidelines, then, they'll basically give you what the cost and what the process would be. And then
Okay.
during your inspection contingency in your contract, then you can make a decision if you want to take that cost on or not. Or then you can go back to the seller before you release that contingency. You can go back and say, Mr. Seller, I did my research, and since you didn't permit this, for me to have this legal, it's going to cost me, such and such. So will you
Right.
give me a price adjustment or will you give me a credit? And
Okay.
then, whether or not they work with you or not, then you can make your own decision. But at least now you know all the facts and you can make a good decision for yourself.
Okay. All right, got it. I'm actually looking at two properties that one was done by owner. It doesn't look like it's permitted. And then the other one looks like it's got pulled some permits, but not in two different cities. So I already went to one city and then asked about, what to do, that. I'll do the same for the other property then. I really appreciate it. So this is an old house, but now it looks like a brand new. But I know it's an old house. So if the plumbing has never been replaced during the inspection, the plumber can tell, can they, when they go under the crawl space or anything like that? Those are the things that I'm really worried about. So anybody?
You're saying if when they inspect, if they'll be able to see if the plumbing was done correctly, is that your question?
Yeah. because there's a
It-
crawl space.
Right. A good home inspector will be able to see how things were connected. I mean, look,
Yeah.
if they're amateur, like here's something funny. So like, it's a home job when you have somebody that tries to tie copper to galvanized because
Mhm.
copper and galvanized react. So you have to use like a dielectric union to connect those lines. I can't tell you how many times I see that silly mistake. But yeah, really a good inspector will be able to, give you an idea
Okay.
what's going on under there.
Okay. All right. I think
But
that's
it doesn't mean
yeah.
that it'll pass inspection. No, it'll give you an idea, but it doesn't, it doesn't assure you that that work will pass
Yeah.
without, it's just amazing some of the inspectors that come out,
Mhm.
what they'll find and what they interpret.
So should I go ahead and get a plumber as in addition to the general inspection guy, or I mean, I would probably do a sewer scoping for that area, at least. So that's one, and that must be the plumbing company, right? I mean, they can probably look at the pipes types, plumbing types, how the condition, so on and so forth.
Well, I was gonna say, not to interrupt you, but I was gonna say, look, I mean, with the home inspection, if you have a good home inspector, whenever they do an inspection on everything, if there's
Mhm.
something that they need further inspection from like a specific trade, they'll usually call it out. So like if the plumbing is pretty straightforward, then it's fine. But if something gets called out and they feel like it's beyond their scope of knowledge, then they'll put in the home inspection or they'll tell you, hey, we recommend you
Okay.
have a plumber come look at this, right?
Okay.
As far as like scoping the sewer, like in some of our markets now, it's a county or city code to have to inspect the sewer lateral. And the sewer lateral is basically the sewer connection between the house and the street. Nowadays the sellers are responsible when they're transferring property to make sure the sewer laterals are good. And so, if that's something that's already in that jurisdiction or rule, then that's going to get done by the seller. You just got to make sure that you look at that and make sure the seller takes care of it. If it's not something that's required, then like what you're saying, doing your own scope is a really good idea.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I think with my limited knowledge, that's you guys covered it. Thank you.
Just to give you an idea, I had my duplex scoped, and there was a break in it in the city street, like underneath the city street. Had I not scoped it, like I wouldn't have known. And there was previous records stating that there was a backup that had occurred, from reports on the city sewer. So they were aware of it. But
Yeah.
the lucky thing for the seller in my situation was the simple fact that the actual break was underneath the city street, so it was the city's responsibility to repair.
Okay.
It had to be written into the contract that the communication with the city stated that they were going to repair the sewer line, because our lender even said that there was X amount of days that the city was to be compliant with that
I see.
in order for
Okay. Yeah. I think I plan on doing a sewer scoping because the old picture from Google had lots of trees, and it looks like they did a lot of landscaping in the front yard, but I have a feeling something's out there. So I'll at least do that in addition to the inspection. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Good luck, Anna.
Thanks.
What else is going on? Alex, we haven't seen you in a while. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm still getting my butt kicked by Zoom, but this is my first time coming to this accountability meeting. I wanted to make sure to make a point to come check it out. I've seen you in a lot of different things, Frank, and I appreciate you guys putting out all the information that you do. And Wednesday night normally, well, my my soon-to-be wife has stuff scheduled, and I support her on Wednesdays. But I'm getting about tired of that, so I'm thinking maybe I'll try and make this a regular accountability meeting.
There you go. We're happy to be your excuse. Yeah, yeah, I see you in school. It's great to have you here. If you and like you, I think you were here from close to the beginning. That if there's anything you're going through that you need help, a little push to keep things going. So maybe I should ask first where you live and where you invest, and how long have you been at it?
I live in Bremerton, Washington, which is very close to Port Orchard, just a little, not too far outside of Tacoma. And I invest here in Bremerton, and I also invest in Santan Valley, Arizona. And I've been at it. I mean, I'm an accidental investor. I just realized that I was a real estate investor after being about halfway through closing on my most recent property in February. So before that, I was just a guy with some rentals. And the one that I bought was supposed to be a second home in Arizona, and it's an alligator. So on my way back from getting my stuff, I had a plan where I was going to have a roommate with my friend's dad. He was going to live there and pay rent, a minor rent, reduced rent. And then that way I could still use the house whenever I wanted. Well, he was uncomfortable with that and backed out at the last minute. And so I had to go down to Arizona with the trailer and get my stuff out of there that I had kind of taken down there after closing. So on my way back, that's when I listened to One Rental at a Time. Dion narrated that book, and I basically took a beating, an emotional beating, because I just purchased an alligator my whole way home, and listening to Mike Zuber say, "Never buy an alligator." So
Don't
at the
do
end of
that.
the day, I'm like, well, I don't know that that's, I didn't feel very good about myself, but I understand where he's coming from. My first house. I got divorced and it was upside down. So that was an alligator. And but over time, now it's a cash producing asset. It's one of my, it's a good one. And so now I've been looking at a couple of duplexes. I've put offers in on a couple of them. The cash flow around here isn't really strong. The cash on cash return, the yield is not very strong around here, but the next I plan on doing a house hack. It doesn't need to be real strong. It just needs to cash flow day one. And then I can deal with a small cash on cash return over for now. But I plan on, I want to get maybe 4 or 5 small multifamilies. I guess the number changes, but my number is about $10,000 a month. I'm trying to get to that, and right now I have about 3,000 from my rentals. So my goal is to get there. So what I'd like to do is buy maybe at least one multifamily. I'm looking over the next 5 years. One multifamily a year would be really good. But if I get 4 over the next 5 years, that'll be good too. And I really think that'll be enough to get me there, as long as I'm making conscious decisions around here. It's a very high cost of living area. Not very. I mean, not as bad as California, but it's pretty high here. But I'm excited to find this community. So I was looking at Bigger Pockets. I found Bigger Pockets one day, and that was cool. And then I saw Chad Carson. I'm like, that's my guy. I want to be like him. And then I saw Dion, and I'm like, no, that's my guy. That's the way I think. So I was pretty excited to find that. And then I've been working with Curtis Gardner, and he pointed me into some other groups and some real estate investing networks. He's really good at that, and I really appreciate that. I want to give a shout out to him, and he's the one who recommended that I join school. So that's how I got here. I don't really need a lot of help right now. I'm not, I'm getting married in August. So I'm just watching the market. If something comes along, then great. If not, I mean, the last one that I was offering on would have had us closing like right at the same time as the wedding. And I don't think that would have gone over well. And in hindsight, that's something that would have followed me for the rest of my life. As long as I'm married to her, there would have been some sort of resentment because my focus was somewhere else and I was stressed and all those things. So it's probably best that didn't work out.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that's a lot of great information. And Anna is in Washington with you guys, Troy, Flavio. I'm not sure who else that might be up there, but yeah,
I'm pretty sure that I met Anna at a Tacoma FI meetup
Yes, we
last
did.
month.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we chat about an hour or so over the table.
Yep, and I've connected just recently with Troy, and I'd like to talk to him about. I would really like to get a school or an ORAT meetup in this area. Um, I'm new. It's going to take me a little while to get some sort of my feet underneath me, but we got a lot of people around here that share interests, and then there's like Cody Davis, and there's just people, and like you said, Flavio. And I think it would be really cool to try and have some sort of local meetup. So I'm thinking something along those lines.
I'm putting in the works. I'm putting something together in my event space in my commercial property for this fall. I'm thinking, Alex, so it's in the works.
And I'll be happy to support you. Like I said, I don't know everybody yet, but I see the vision. I think it'd be great. And if you need some help trying to pull something off, let me know.
Sounds good, man. I'll keep you guys all posted.
Right on.
Yeah, Frank will go out there because he's bailing on me in California.
Oh yeah. Maybe
That's-
you need to come out here so we can get some good contractors to work with.
there you go. Yeah, Jim's still at it. I'm trying to phase it out, but we'll see.
Uh-oh. He's early.
Yeah, he's early, all the way from Japan.
No,
talking
he's back home.
We're talking about Mark.
You know the drill. When he comes on, we're done.
Yeah, so we'll see you guys next week.
Later, guys.
Yeah, Alex, you gotta keep that wife happy. I was gonna, when you spoke about getting married, I was wondering if your fiance is into real estate investing as much as you are.
Not as much as I am because I've become obsessed. So it's probably good that she's not as involved as I am. I'm the visionary. I'm the one who sees where we're going. I make the plans. She is the support and the details. We work together. But she was a loan processor for a long time for mortgage companies around here. So she knows her way around the paperwork side of things, which is great because I hate it. I
Mhm.
can do it, but I hate it. So my goal is I would like for her to kind of step into the property management role a little bit. She doesn't so we'll see. I just right now I'm trying to we've been together for 9 years, almost 10. So we're gonna get married on our 10th anniversary. So I would like her I appreciate her ability for prepping everything for the loans. To give you an idea, she just takes all the documents and put them together and sends them to whoever's asking. But I'm hoping that she kind of leans into the bookkeeping and administration side of the stuff. And we'll see how that goes. She's not a big numbers person, but she's consistent. So she always pays the bills.
Okay.
So that works.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing all that. And you probably already know, but don't take any marriage advice from Dion.
No. Yeah. I'm kind of surprised to be getting married. We were both married once before to somebody else. And and I thought I'd never get married again. But we're at a phase in life. Our youngest kid is 14. We have two that are out of the house already, and we have one more kind of on the way. And we're looking at, you know, it's not so romantic, but we're looking at dying together. So we're looking at our, you know, what it looks like being financially free, and just kind of gambling it all on her and I. So
Great. Awesome. Anybody else have any questions or anything they want to share this week?
I have a question that's been on my mind that I just maybe you know. I
Okay.
haven't heard anybody talk about the ORAT meetup coming up in February, right? Is it because because it's not put together yet, or when do people start talking about that?
Yeah. So last week, a lot of the people in the call were asking me to reach out to Zuber to see if there was anything we could help him with for this next event. So I did reach out to him, and he said that he starts his heavy planning in August.
Okay.
So yeah, so he hasn't put anything out yet. He'll let us know if there's anything we can help with, and hopefully he'll find something. It would be nice to be able to help.
No, Mark, I haven't bought an ORAT shirt yet.
I'm sure I have your size, Alex. What is it?
I'm a bigger dude. I'm a 3X.
Perfect. I have 3 of those, I think. Just
We'll
let
have
me
to
know.
we'll
Just
have
let
to
me know.
figure that out.
Let me know when your wife gives you the approval, and we'll get you.
Oh, I don't need approval for things. We're not there yet. I told you we're not married yet.
Okay, there you go. So you got a little while. I see Cody's here. Cody, I don't want to jinx your deal, but sounds like you had some good luck recently.
Yeah, we got an accepted offer on the house I was looking at selling, so that was good. But nothing's done until it's actually closed. So we'll wait patiently for that because I've had it fall out of escrow before. So I'm not counting anything quite yet.
Yeah, how long till your contingency period's over?
I think it's like 40 days. So I think the inspection's tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes.
Oh, nice. Good luck. It's a nice looking little place.
Thank you. Yeah, it was something that we just wasn't the right area, so we're looking at moving on from it.
Yeah.
And then reuse those funds for something else.
And that one was a single family compared to everything else you have being duplexes.
Yep. So just one single family, and we got that one as like a part of a package deal originally a couple years ago. That was the first time I did the 50-40-10 with that one, and then seller financing. So it's weird kind of going full circle on it already because it's only been like 2 years, but it just makes sense to sell and move it into something better.
Yeah, that's nice. I know a few of us know about the fact that you're taking a sabbatical right now, and I like that because you get to be with us on Wednesdays. You haven't been able to be with us on Wednesdays for a while, so that's cool.
Yeah, I feel like I got a little bit more free time in life, but I'm starting to get so I was just talking to Miranda about it, just like what's the next thing that we're gonna do, and potentially looking at new jobs and like what I should get into, and so kind of open to everything, and I don't know what to do at this point, but we're gonna figure that out. And I've been off like a month and a half, and I think I've already gotten like the itch to like start improving again, start growing the net worth again, like all that kind of stuff. After taking some time off, so it's been an interesting 6-7 weeks now because we took a lot of like vacation time and traveling and all that stuff. And now it's like, all right, now I'm like, all right, I'm kind of ready to jump back in, even though my initial plan was like 3 to 6 months. So we'll see kind of where I'm at later on.
Great. Who else is here? Steve, if you're there, it looks like you had a lot of great a lot of great stuff happening for you this week.
Hey, good evening, everybody from hot and humid Jacksonville, Florida. It has been a productive week. Finally got through the loan approval process, so that's a good milestone. You're always kind of crossing your fingers, wonder if there's something weird out there you don't know about. But so that's a good step. Been struggling to get deals to pencil. Been checking out houses. Did a walkthrough today, but stuff's just not penciling for cash flow. So trying to keep a parallel path going on the ADU tip here. We live in a historic designated area in Jacksonville from the 1920s. So our single-story house is covered by the historic designation. The garage, which is basically falling apart, is not. But I want to do a carriage house potentially there, the garage with an apartment ADU to get some supplemental cash flow since I'm not finding deals that pencil. But the city's just putting up roadblocks. The good thing is I have a good friend that sits on the Historical Preservation Commission. He gavels their meetings in. So he's like, hey, here's someone's number at the city, but if I talk to you any further, I have to recuse myself when you appear before me. So I terminated that conversation immediately. Sounds like it's frowned upon to do a 2-story because the roof line can't be above the historic property roof line because they don't want it to dominate the facade, if that makes sense.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, just kind of working through some of the real estate contacts I've met at different real estate meetups. I met a young guy in his 20s, fresh out of college, architect. I think we're going to try to collaborate on putting a rendering together and try to do a pre-application meeting at the city of Jacksonville before I have to put any money on the line and to say, hey, show me in the rules. We're 1 foot below that roof line. Show me in your rules why I can't do this.
That's great. That sounds like a great connection.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to, keep going to these meetups. I keep trying to plug these pieces together to spend the least amount of cash and to create the most alternatives I can. If I can't get deals to pencil, let's improve the property we're on, and see if we make something happen here, increase the value of our primary residence and, maybe get that thing cash flowing if I can get this thing permitted and then figure out, I got an inspector or an estimator coming out tomorrow to give me an estimate of what it would cost to build a 2-story carriage house. So at least I'll know what that number looks like. And then, see what construction loans look like, if it needs to be done through a HELOC or, so those are the paths I'm going down right now.
Yeah, nice. It's just having to get creative, right? That's awesome that you have some options that way.
Yeah, because I want to get in the game, but I only qualify for so much, and if stuff's not cash flowing, and I'm not buying an alligator.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good.
I just found out I'm not going to be able to go to the conference this year.
You did. What happened?
Yeah, my daughter's gymnastics event is in California on the same weekend.
Oh,
That sucks.
that's not good news.
It was between Hawaii, which I was going to come and say hi to Mark, but now it's they drug their feet so long I didn't think it was going to work. But I thought it was going to be different. I thought it was going to be in January, but now it's February. That sucks. Bummer.
Has anybody in this group done ADUs or anything in historic neighborhoods, or am I kind of an uncharted territory here?
I've done a remodel in a historic neighborhood. It was a major pain.
Yeah, I've seen the future. I think that's what my future looks like.
Yes. No, I actually had to invent my own brick because we could not get it and they wouldn't let us change the siding.
Sounds
How'd
about right.
How'd you do that, Jim?
I took a micro topping, so we filled it all in with the stucco base. We took a micro topping and then just lined the brick out and then painted it to look like the brick. Nobody ever knew.
Made a mold.
No, didn't even make a mold. We just so you put stucco on, the same thing. You put a micro topping on. Then as it's stuck curing, you just take a line and you line it to where you basically cut in your own brick joints. And then these particular ones had lines on the bricks themselves and they were different directions, so we had to go through and line all those all at the same time. And then we came back with 4 different colors of paint and painted each one and just kind of faux finished each one of them.
Yeah, we used to use Portland when we had honeycomb on board walls, so we get the brick textured walls and have to pay attention as you pull them off and fix the honeycomb so it looks good, especially on the inside.
Yeah, windows are usually a big thing on historic too, and they end up costing a ton.
Yeah.
Anything frontage that they can see, even on the side of the house too, going back a certain footage, they really hit on it. It's hardcore, and colors are too. Then the process takes forever because just the historic part of it took us 8 months.
I want you to feel better. My next one, even changing the roof line, I don't have to pull a permit.
Yeah. You can read my mind.
That felt good.
Yeah, sure it did.
Hey Frank, can I do a dovetail topic real quick?
Of course.
So the property I looked at today is the next neighborhood over from me. I found a house on a double lot. There's room for a house next to it. When I go talk to the city, I also want to find out if I can subdivide that. So my question, and basically build a house there and do that model. Has anybody ever done anything like that? And I guess that's the first question. The second question is, if I can't get that first, the deal doesn't work if I can't. I mean, the house probably wouldn't cash flow if I bought it anywhere near asking. I'd have to lowball them like 30%. They're not going to take it. So I guess the question is,
That
if I,
ADU guy.
What's that?
That ADU guy.
What about him?
You go on his channel. You go on his website. He has everything you're going to need.
Do you, so are you saying if you buy the home as it is today, you're going to find out if you can subdivide the lot? If you subdivide the lot, my question is, are you able to build another regular size home, or does it have to be like under a certain amount of square footage?
I think that you can only do like 50% max coverage on a lot in Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be a limitation, but it could probably be done. But
Okay.
It sounds like everything's not going to line up, but it might be a future strategy for me if I can get. Sounds like I need to get that answer from the city, and go down that road.
Yeah, I would reach out to the city and see what options you have. I've condoed a couple different duplexes, and then you just got to reach out to the city and make sure they allow what you're looking at doing. So my situation obviously was a little different than yours, but I would just check with them, see if that's something you can do, and kind of make sure you check with them before you buy it.
Yeah, because if this house, I'm going to try to get into the city next week. If the house is still around, it might make sense if it can be done. Does it make sense to acquire something like this when you get that lot with it? You know what I'm saying? Or should I just be moving on? Am I making this too complicated? What's that? Someone say something?
I don't think so.
Okay. It was just kind of a random. It's been running in the back of my head, so it seems like I just got some more work to do.
Yeah, Kevin had a comment in there in the chat. He's doing a project in Southern California, and I'm not sure what SB9 is. Maybe Jim, you know what SB9 is, but with him going through the process where he's at, Senate Bill 9. Oh, that maybe something to ask about too.
Yeah, they're definitely incentivizing ADU and affordable housing in Jacksonville. A bill just passed, so sounds like I just need to get deeper in the weeds here. Thanks,
Yeah,
y'all.
we were. My mom had a lot here in California, and it was about around a 7,000 square foot lot, and she was able to add an ADU, but the square footage was limited, I think, to 680 square feet. And they had a bunch of different rules. If the existing home was a small 2-bedroom, 1-bath, it had a detached garage, and the rules were less just by attaching the roof lines from the ADU to the existing garage. So it's just going in there and asking your questions, and hopefully you can get the same person every time, because it seems like whenever I go in, you get a different person, you get a different answer. I don't know.
Yeah, thanks.
Anything else going on? Mark, you have 14 minutes.
Where are you going to try to move in Washington, Frank? Where are you looking?
Oh, hey, Alex, I'm sorry. I did see your question. We're kind of looking all over. When I went up there with Dion, I like his area. He's in Port Orchard. I think you know that. I don't know. You're not too far away from him, right? In Bremerton, you said?
Very close.
Yeah, I like that area where you guys are at. Flavio's a few hours away. One thing that I've been kicking around is I thought everywhere in Washington just rained every day, but Flavio says they don't get too much rain down where he's at. So maybe somewhere in the happy middle. Yeah, Flavio's in Grandview. And maybe you haven't heard, but the short story is, we think to be able to retire with the portfolio that we have now, we would need to sell our home here in California to eliminate our mortgage. Right now, it's about $3,000 a month. So if we could eliminate that and buy something for cash in Washington, we might be able to survive our golden years. So
there's a mountain range kind of on the east side of Seattle. So on the other side of those mountains, that's where Flavio's down south on the other side of those mountains. So that's all. It's a completely different climate than Western Washington.
Mhm.
We live in the Puget Sound area, which goes close to, that's where Seattle, Tacoma, Olympia, all that. But where I'm on the other side, so Bremerton, it's more rural than the city side. So is Port Orchard. And so it's completely different than the western side of Washington. So it kind of depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for the green and the water and all of that, that's more on the western side. And if you're looking for, I don't know, I'll let Flavio just explain. The eastern side of Washington is high desert, and it's just different. It's different over there. So the climate, depending on what kind of climate you're looking for, property is a little more affordable in Western Washington. But again, it's all about what you're interested in.
Yeah, we have connected with Justin Canberra up there, and he's sending us properties now. What my ideal place would be, something with a couple acres with 2 small homes and a workshop. Something I can just keep busy, day to day, without having to be stuck inside all the time. Even if it's raining, can get out in the shop and do some stuff.
You definitely have to be in the tertiary markets of Seattle area for that. But there's a lot of great towns in the surrounding areas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't
Pretty
know that
much.
there is.
I say pretty much where I live is the ideal up market. I'm nestled in like a very like touristy kind of community, just between North Seattle and the border.
Mhm.
It's a lot of farmlands. We got rich farmlands, a bunch of rivers running through it. They have like a big tulip festival every year that everybody ventures out to, and then there's the islands and stuff like that everybody ventures to, and then we have several of the national parks just right in our back door.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to definitely take a few trips up there between now and then. Cynthia agreed to do one more year part-time teaching, so we have that much time left, and we'll see. We'll see what the boss says, because it doesn't matter what I like.
Flavio is on the other side of the Cascades. It's very similar to your environment where you live right now, Frank. It's kind of just deserty, rolling hills, a lot of sagebrush, a lot of farmland, rivers, stuff like that. Hot. It's like 100 degrees there right now.
Yeah,
So,
the prices have been pretty reasonable between Flavio and Alex's area.
yeah, they depress quite drastically when you go over the mountain.
Yeah, so we got to definitely do our homework. I don't know. Dion had suggested maybe going up there and renting somewhere just to get a better feel for the overall, area, which might be possible. It depends what we would end up getting for our home here. And Flavio asked if we could rent this place, but Flavio, I think my only hesitation there is that we're on a septic system, and I don't trust it to tenants. I don't know how Dion does all his like that, without getting them pumped every couple of years for sure.
Yeah, you just have a septic guy come look at it every 6 months or so. Just pay him 120, 150 bucks to come out and just inspect it.
Yeah, I guess more of my concern would be with the leach field. For example, just say it gets kind of full, right? And they're pouring whatever grease or paint or whatever down the septic system. And once that gets into the leach field, then we're going to have issues.
Got to take a risk.
There's preventative measures, Frank, about that. You can put in a grease screen that's on your inlet to your tank.
Mm-hmm.
And the worst thing that really can happen though is your fluids will start to back up quickly, but it doesn't destroy your leach field.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the biggest, I live on a septic system and we have a short-term rental on it, and it's just educating your tenants, saying, hey, these are the acceptable things that go down the toilet, and these are the non-acceptable things going down the toilet. These are the acceptable things going down your sink. These are the non-acceptable things that are going down your sink. If you're putting these things down the sink, you'll be stuck with the cost of repair. And that could be as much as pumping the tank, as much as jetting your system to clean it and repair it. I mean, you're talking like it could be $350 to $800, and you explain that to him, like, these are the costs you're looking at by doing that, just FYI.
And no garbage disposals.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Even though, you want to know the funny thing, Jim, my dad has had a garbage disposal on his septic system. He's lived in his house since 2002. But it's like a 1,250 gallon tank, and it's just been him and his wife forever.
Yeah, but it's not a tenant that just doesn't care.
They put a lot of organics down it. That's what I see. It's a lot of like vegetable waste and stuff that they'll ground up, and that stuff does break down, but it still can back up if you're doing excessive amounts.
Well, it's not only the backup, but that actually hurts your leach field. The peels are not good for leach fields if it gets past.
Yeah, I've had this conversation with my dad. He's like, "Oh yeah, whatever." Okay, then. Mind you, this is the guy who just sent me a screenshot of his stock evaluation that's 1.25 mil, and his real estate evaluation's just about on par with that. So if something were to happen, he would have the money for it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I know. And here too, we're kind of in a funny spot because our septic tank and leach field is barely 100 feet from our well. there's no place else to extend it to or to move it to, things like that. So that's been one of our challenges too.
Yeah, that's okay. This one has the tank,
you guys
then
put
it has a pump, then it pumps out to the front yard leach field, then it pumps out to the backyard leach field. So they
On
didn't
one
have
of
enough
the
space. Yeah. 2 areas. And I just spent $1,000 on pumping out both tanks.
Yeah,
that's
ours
not
hasn't
too
been
bad for both of them.
Yeah.
Ours is usually around 650 every time they pump it. We usually do it like once every 3 years. So far has been what we've had to do.
Yeah,
Ours
it's about
is
the same here.
1,500 gallon tank.
But the thing I'm looking at doing the numbers, it
That's
costs
pretty good
the
for a
same.
15.
Whether if you have a well, if you have a septic and all that stuff, you're still paying for it. You're paying the county or you're paying for the fixing the leach field. You're paying either way.
Yeah.
Doesn't
That's
matter.
one of Cynthia's pet peeves is we get a water bill from, we're in what they call the Pajaro Valley. So we get a water bill every year from Pajaro, and we're on a well. She doesn't see why we should have to pay the water bill to them.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I'd be fighting that one all day long.
Yeah, it's $123 a year. I don't know. Has
They
something
probably
to
have it
do.
written into the legislation that every township or every property owner has to pay like a tax on it to maintain it or something like that.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, because my water's 154 every 2 months for each property, building. And I'm paying for it and I haven't even used one of the buildings. I'm like, what?
Can get it connected.
I will say, Frank, if you're looking in my area, I'll have to put you aside of caution. You can't just do a new build. The Indians up here have shut down any new drilling of any well in one of the most plentiful watersheds up here. So we can't drill any wells.
Yeah, that's good to know. Most everything that we're looking at is something that's been existing. I don't know if I want to get into manufactured homes, but you guys have so many up there. I would rather get a stick built, something that already has existing septic and a well or whatever, but something I can remodel myself and call it good.
They're a lot easier to sell a stick built. I'll say that much. Because even if you have like manufactured home put on a foundation, there's a lot of banks that they don't like them. Even if you put them on a foundation, they're no different than a stick built home. It's just, they actually can be taken off a foundation and be moved again. And for some reason, they're like, well, the likelihood of it being, not an asset that we can guarantee that it's going to be as good as when it was put there is we don't want to lend on it.
Yeah, I think there was a couple of stipulations that Dion had shared. One being if it's older, 73 or older, they won't lend on it, and the other one was if it was moved more than once, they won't lend on it. So other than it being moved to the property, if it's moved after that, they won't lend on them.
I'm very well knowledgeable on that one. I actually flipped a double wide.
Oh, okay.
And I flipped a single wide that was a 69. Like couldn't find. So the funny thing about like a manufactured home, for any of you guys that are not aware of it, they are no different than like an RV. They actually have a title on them. They have a stamp that goes in the frame and everything. So when you go to purchase it, they got to locate those things because it has a manufacturer number, has the actual date that it was built and so forth. So those things, especially when they get to like anything pre-1973, they're hard to find. And the actual building requirements were different, like considerably different. So that's why you can't get lending on it. Another thing is don't be shy if you're actually interested in buying a manufactured home, because most lenders will not lend on it, but there are 3 major lenders that you can get lending on with them. And one of them is actually Warren Buffett's company. He's like, well, hey, there's not enough lenders out there that are providing lending for these products out there. This could be a gold mine. And sure was it for him.
That's good to know.
So I actually got lending on one, bought the house originally for $50,000 and then flipped it, got actual lending on it, got $123,000 on it, turned that and went and invested into another flip property, and then sold it a year later for 138, and took that money that we had left over on it and put it into our primary.
Yeah, that's great to know. Thank you. Hey, Josh, you're just jumping in. We were just about to wrap things up. I noticed Mark left. I hope you guys didn't hurt his feelings.
He expressed it in the comment section.
I figured you guys were probably finishing up. I just realized what time it was because we're actually traveling on the road right now. So we're in Branson.
Oh, nice.
I got family in Branson.
Yeah, we're actually visiting. We're actually on Table Rock Lake, which is right next door to Branson. So
Table Rock's awesome. Enjoy.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, good.
Well, hopefully everyone's doing well.
Yeah, it seems like nobody has any major issues this week.
Oh, good.
Some got a little bit of homework, and we'll see what happens next week.
Oh, cool.
I had a fun electrical issue happen in my duplex this week.
Oh, did you?
Just grab the black wire and grab the white wire.
So this has been an ongoing problem. Contractor went in to install a new ceiling fan. Tenant said, "Oh, the ceiling fan started smoking." So thought it was ceiling fan burned out. Well, come to find out, the ceiling fan in the front room and the ceiling fan in the kitchen were improperly wired. And on top of that circuit, the neutral and the ground were improperly wired in the service cabinet. So it shorted out and the smoke came from the neutral basically smoking and shorting out that leg of the circuit. So I got lucky on that one. It didn't start a fire. And so then had to have an electrician go and repair it. Well, that electrician that I got was from a colleague that I've become to know quite well in my market. And she recommended the electrician, but she also said, like, he can be a challenge to communicate with. So I had a hard time communicating with him. He went out and fixed it, but it didn't quite solve the problem. So my tenant's like, yeah, now the lights are kind of like flickering in the front room. Like they go really bright, they kind of like dim. I'm like, well, is it just one? Is it all of them? He's like, well, let me try the ceiling fan. He's like, yeah, it's kind of doing that too. I'm like, well, are they LED lights? Maybe they're going bad. Well, I just put a new one in the lamp and it's still doing it. And I just put a new one in it. So I actually went through Thumbtack this time and spoke with 3 other electricians and spoke and come down to the one that I chose to have go out to my property today. Had really good conversations with the guy who's actually the partner and business owner. So they merged 2 businesses together, and he said he'd come out and take a look at it. And I mentioned, what I'm doing. He's like, hey, I'll do one here. I'll go out to your property and take a look at it. I won't charge you anything. He's like, just know that, I want me to be your first choice the next time you have any electrical issues. So he went out there and he's like, yeah, there was in the service cabinet, there was 3 legs that were in there that were loose. So I tightened them up and it seems to solve the problem. I'm like, Jesus. He's like, however, not going to guarantee you. He says, it could be that depending on that circuit, there could be some loose wiring in some of the plugs or whatever. So it's if it still continues, let me know. I'll go out there and I'll take a look at them.
Was that wire replaced from the fans to back to the panel?
Yep.
It was, okay.
Yep. So $340 later.
Yeah.
I was like, holy crap.
Well, that's cheap.
Yes, I thought that as well. But the guy was like, hard, like, it started out like, okay, hey, the tenant's saying that it's flickering, this and that. And he's like, oh, I'll be out there on Friday. I'm like, okay, let me check with my tenant. He's like, yeah, that works. He's like, so I'm like, what time you be there? He's like, 9 o'clock. Okay, that works. Well, gets out there or call my tenant on that day. It's 10 o'clock now. I'm like, has the guy showed up yet? And he's like, no. So I reach out to him and he's like, "Oh, I didn't get confirmation that you said that the tenant was going to be there." I'm like, "Okay, all right, whatever. Maybe that was my bad. I didn't communicate." And he's like, "Well, I could do Saturday afternoon." And this was after like waiting forever to hear back from him. And I get the message on Saturday morning. I can be there Saturday afternoon. So I reach out to my tenant. He's at work, couldn't get a hold of him, so it didn't work. So I'm like, "Doesn't work. Hey, when's the next time you can get a hold of me? Or you go out there?" He's like, "Monday," is his response. So I ask him again, "What time on Monday?" Crickets. Come Sunday, respond to him, "Hey, what time on Monday?" Crickets. I'm like, "All right, time to get a new electrician."
Hi guys, I have follow up on that. So when you buy a new property or your existing property, what would you look at? How would you make sure that your fans, lights, are connected properly? And is there anything you can do? Is there a check you can check on? I mean, sometimes also the problem can be like loose wires, like someone did it but then installed it, but then it was loose, and that's another problem. And it feels like it's very unsafe condition. So is there anything that you can something you can check or something you can
Yeah.
do?
Temperature gun.
I was going to say I had an inspector even inspect the service panel because there was a circuit, or I mean a breaker on that was corroded out for one thing, and on that one it was the wrong amperage for that circuit. So we even had electrician go in and replace a new breaker on that, and they still didn't see that the neutral legs were loose.
That's not something you can see. You have to basically go in and tighten down each one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's when it comes to that stuff, it's hard. I mean, you can have an electrician go through.
Well,
But if you're not familiar, you can still take a temp gun and shoot down each one and pick up temperature differences depending on the load on the circuit.
So the thermal gun seems like a good idea. So
See everything.
when you pick up some temperature, that means it's either loose or not properly connected. Is that what it means?
It's producing heat. It's either got too much load on it, or there's something in that circuit that needs to be looked at, either the load or the installation, just like Jim was saying.
And that's for outlets, switches, lights, fans, anything basically.
Yeah, you start with the electrical box and work out, because it's easy to pick up the different temperatures on the circuits.
I never
Oh, you
thought
mean
about
you
doing that,
start with the
Charles. That's such
panel?
a smart idea.
So it's common with firefighters to look at heat signatures through infrared cameras, but a $30 temperature gun will help isolate.
Yeah, we had an electrician come out and look at a job, and that was the first time I had seen an electrician use that, but it was pretty cool.
Yep.
Checking across all the circuits, and everything was pretty even until he hit one that had an issue. But I was going to say, so if Sam's looking at, I mean, I know like on the light switches, you can turn on the light, right? And that whole circuit is functioning, but on an outlet, there wouldn't always be an abnormal
No.
heat signature, right?
Yeah, there's no load. If there's no load, you're not going to be able to test it.
Yeah.
Right.
So would that mean something like taking, just say, a hairdryer and going around and plugging it in and seeing what the readings are across the board, or?
You could do something like that, but most of the time those things are every once in a while, all wiring is going to expand and contract. It's just good, and it will loosen up as time goes on. So those wire nuts do need to be tightened at some point.
Yeah,
just a common thing.
Yeah,
that's why aluminum. That's why aluminum is so bad, and insurance companies don't like it because those extremely expand and contract.
Right. Yeah, especially if someone's come in after the fact and connected copper to aluminum or something
Yeah,
crazy.
most people don't realize you actually are supposed to torque your panels. There's
Right.
actually little torque things, and you're supposed to torque. Nobody does, but you're supposed to.
You're
I
that
was gonna start
interested.
laughing, Jim.
Yeah.
So
Good
yeah,
electrician will do that. A union electrician will do that.
Yes, correct. Usually commercial and especially industrial. Anything big, they'll do that with.
so part of that is if you over torque it, you create a restriction which will create heat as well.
Yep.
Yeah. So you got to do it just right.
Well, that's kind of the idea. So I was going to pick on Chester a little bit if we got time. I would like to see what his interview checklist is for his PM, or how he's going to negotiate the responsibilities that he wants to carry on himself, and what the PM can do for him on the side. Because I got a funny feeling he's eventually looking to do a modified PM agreement.
Have you seen Chester's spreadsheet?
No, I haven't. But I guarantee that if I was his PM or his contractor, I'd pick a fight early just to get it over with.
Do you have a reply for him, Chester?
What was the question again?
Do you have any questions that you're going to interview the new PM with, or maybe that you already did interview the new PM with?
Oh, so I'm actually gonna go back and listen to the video where Casey and Zuber were discussing this very thing, because Casey had
Casey,
You're cutting out, Troy.
We can't hear you, Troy.
Brick by brick.
Yeah, brick by brick.
Yeah, Casey's brick by brick wealth. Um yeah, there was she had a few of them. It was like about a dozen or so questions, and she walked through like the rationale behind each of them. So I think I might go through that. The biggest ones are some of the, transparent, um, sort of upfront, sort of rubber meets the road type of questions, kind of, what types of things do you
This property on Craigslist.
what happened?
Go ahead.
I was like, what happened to Craigslist?
Sorry.
Oh, oh, the biggest things that was going to take away are, or get an understanding of, were around like the operating model, for lack of a better phrase, basically their do's and don'ts, what they do and what they don't call PM or owners about. We already got questions about the fee structure, things like that. But then there's ones that were a little bit more nitty gritty, into the weeds type of deal, but those were equally important. So I don't think I'll probably go through all of them, but that actually is a pretty good refresher, Charles. I think I'm gonna just kind of pick and choose from those, because I remember taking a lot of notes the first time I went through or listened to it. Really impressed by that, uh, like I said, Casey had a rock solid rationale for all of the questions that she included in that list.
Just for further notice there, Chester, I try to send you all my homework so I can get the short notes.
Copy that.
Yeah, we took Casey's course years ago, and her original checklist for questions to ask a property manager, it's about 35 questions, but obviously they pared it down, and she suggested doing the same thing. She didn't suggest, coming at them with all 35 questions, because then you'll end up with no PM at all. But that's good. We will look forward to hearing your progress next week, Chester. Hopefully you'll have good luck, and I'm sure if anybody in the group can help you, you probably know how to reach out to all of them. So
yes, indeed.
I just gave notice to my PM. My wife just sent him an email today.
are you going to have a new one, or are you going to self-manage?
We're not sure yet. We may end up going with Hemlane in some fashion. But initially we're done with these guys, and so we're letting them go.
Nice. Yeah, we're switching one too. I was also going to mention too, Chester, somebody said earlier about having your next PM ready to go, because when we fired our second one there in Milwaukee, they were upset, and they were going to hold us to I think it was 60-day notice. So I was going to give them the 60-day notice, and then all of a sudden they messaged me and said, "Hey, your keys are at the front desk. Have your new PM pick them up there." And it had only been a few hours. So if we hadn't had somebody lined up, then we would have been in a little bit of a pickle there. So
yeah,
just have them ready to go.
Copy that. Oof.
Well, have a good night, guys. I just want to pop in and say hi to everybody.
Yeah, Josh, good to see you.
Good, Josh.
Yeah, I meet with Hemlane tomorrow.
All right.
Good. Take lots of notes.
Oh yeah. No, I've already got a lot of notes to get. I'm gonna forward him a whole list. I've got an agenda.
All right.
When are
Well,
you getting
hopefully
that inspection sheet done, Jim?
Oh, that's not gonna happen for a while.
You gonna get that course out?
I'm not doing a course. No, that's not. I got to get a YouTube channel going before I do anything else. And I'm watching all these other guys and like, damn, I don't want to. I watched a whole bunch of that ADU guy. He's good. He knows he at construction, at doing the YouTube stuff. He knows what he's doing. That's for sure.
he's been at it a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, have a great week, and thank you all for jumping on with us again, and we'll catch you next Wednesday.
Perfect. See you later.
Awesome.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Frank.
everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.